Hi, this is Joey Pants. I was Cypher in the Matrix.
Hey, this is Michael Popper, aka the Kid.
This is Captain Soren of the Vigilant.
This is Andrew Lewis Caldwell, aka Jude from Matrix Resurrections.
Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
And welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Hey, all you little batteries out there. Gina Torres here, and welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Welcome to Neo Matrix Online. This is the place. Save the Matrix.
That's right. Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole. We are live. I know it's been a while, but we are here. V, say hello to the class.
Oh, it's good to be back in front of the class and excited about the news and the endless possibilities with our Matrix universe.
Yeah, actually, we should probably start with some news. While we wait for some people to join us here to talk about the meat and potatoes of the Animatrix screening. But a couple people, over the last couple of weeks have been actually, the story's been kind of kicking around for a couple months, but I wanted to, wait until we got some more concrete statements to speak on it on my end, just because, it's still up in the air. Like, we don't really have a final, but let's just go ahead and jump on into the article here. Let's see if I can show, what was it, the LA Times article here on the screen. Yeah, do you see it? There we go.
Yeah, I see it.
So it says Warner Brothers Discovery has put up the for sale sign. Now what? Like I said, this is the LA Times, October 28th. Last week, Warner Brothers Discovery finally said publicly what everyone has been talking about for weeks. The media company is up for sale. Although the news was hardly a surprise, Warner has been unofficially in play for some 2 months. The prospect of another blockbuster merger has rattled an entertainment industry that has seen a slow but steady drumbeat of consolidation in recent years. Hollywood insiders still lament the effect of Walt Disney Company's acquisition of 21st Century Fox Entertainment's assets and what that has meant for theatrical output and the shrinking buyer's market. Warner itself as the result of multiple sales and mergers. More recently, of course, was the takeover of Paramount by tech scion David Ellison's Skydance Media, a deal which only just closed in August. And we're going to definitely circle back to the Skydance thing. The new owners wasted no time getting bigger. Soon after scooping up Paramount, the Ellison-backed media company went on a buying spree, locking down sports media rights and iconic cartoons like South Park and luring filmmakers away from competitors. Now its sights are on a much bigger target, Warner Brothers, the iconic studio behind classics such as Casablanca, Batman, and the Harry Potter movies, as well as, we know, the Matrix franchise. Right, then they're just going to talk about some of the Warner accomplishments and stuff, right? Right. So Discovery Chief Executive David Zaslav suggested the company has more than one suitor, saying in the statement that Warner has received interest from multiple parties, which triggered the review of strategic alternatives to identify the best path forward to unlock the full value of our assets. Cable company Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, plans to weigh its options for the company, but no bid has yet emerged. Streaming giant Netflix, which is rumored to be interested, seemed to downplay such speculation in its earnings call last week. In response to an analyst's question, co-chief executive Ted Sarandos said the company looks at all potential opportunities for mergers and acquisitions, but that Netflix has been very clear in the past that we have no interest in owning legacy media networks. So still, those remarks don't completely shut the door on Warner Studio and streaming service. Many thought a Paramount Warner marriage was a foregone conclusion when news broke earlier this month that Ellison's made an initial bid of nearly $20 a share, which was later rejected by Warner Brothers Discovery Board. So, right, that's when when they made that merger with Paramount, that's kind of when people started pinging me about the news of Skydance buying Warner. After all, David Ellison's father, Oracle Corp, catch the Oracle reference there, right? Co-founder and chairman Larry Ellison, who is the largest shareholder of Paramount, is worth $341 billion, according to Forbes. TD Cohen Media analyst Doug, I'm not going to say his last name, Kreutz, right, wrote in a note to clients that a transaction with Paramount remains reasonably likely and expressed skepticism that other more attractive bidders would emerge. Meanwhile, any potential deal is facing public pushback from the Writers Guild of America, which recently said combining Warner Brothers with Paramount or another major studio or streamer would be a disaster for writers, for consumers, and for competition. The union said it would work with regulators to block such a merger. Adding to the uncertainty is the possibility that Warner Brothers Discovery split could still happen, regardless of bids, if the board deems those offers not in the best interest of shareholders. So about the only thing that's clear at this moment is that there won't be a resolution anytime soon. So that last line is actually why I picked this article to be the one to share the news, because I feel like that's the most accurate. Is that no matter what the outcome is, we're not going to get a final answer anytime soon. That's how this thing's been looking for, since the the Village Roadshow bankruptcy, right? Which is, I did that video here, and that's the funny thing to me, is that we didn't even really talk about that live, and here we are talking about Warner Brothers putting up a for sale sign. I mean, as far as I know, they just got through all that Village Roadshow paperwork as far as Matrix is concerned. And now they're really willing to sell everything, which is a lot to take in, because it's like a big, staple in Hollywood, right? But yeah, the landscape is changing, and lots of uncertainty. So yeah, what's your reactions? I mean, have you been monitoring, or did you hear anything about this so-called Warner fire sale?
So a lot of what I've been hearing, and I'll get a lot of it from like Instagram Reels and like various sources. So it's coming a lot through the DC universe scope and the James Gunn involvement. So the stuff I'm hearing is like they're going to get bought. James Gunn is going to get fired and replaced, and then the DCU is going to get rebooted. So I'm getting a lot of that through that. Another thing that I thought was interesting was the Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld. He has hinted towards a Marvel DC cinematic crossover, and I think if you look at the Marvel Disney plan, they're planning out 7-8 years in advance, so that might be in the future, but not the immediate future. But of course, Disney, if they swoop in and they pick up Warner Brothers, that becomes a lot more believable.
Yeah, no, that's a big chunk of what's still successful at Warner, right?
Well, it's off to a good start with the Superman movie and the Peacemaker series, and it's hard to ignore. It's I've been a Batman fan since I was a little kid, and it's exciting to see something solidify with the Superman movie being pretty successful, and them rebooting that universe. Of course, we know, and Randy will attest to this. There's a big crossover between Superman and Neo, and I think that they're I'm a fan of both IPs, and I think that they're similar enough but far enough apart that they could coexist and not step on each other's toes.
Yeah, no, shout out to Randy and the Odd One and Scion in the chat. We see you. And yeah, Randy was at Comic-Con in New York. He recently met Lawrence Fishburne and Joey Pants in person. So that was pretty cool to see you be able to have that experience and share that on social media. He's doing a Superman thing. Um, but yeah, man. When I saw it, like I said, in my head, I'm thinking about the whole Village Roadshow bankruptcy situation, and like I said, I wanted to circle back because when the news kind of broke, it was right after the whole Paramount merger. And Skydance, I don't know if you remember, but Skydance is the last company to own the Terminator franchise. So if this thing actually goes through, this could be like that missing link or the lane to the Matrix Terminator crossover that I've been waiting for 20 years. I mean, I've been living in that space for 2 decades, actually. I mean, if we're going to be keeping it real. There's definitely little Easter eggs in the simulation theory animation, the 3D animation on this channel. But yeah, we've been doing the whole Terminator crossover since Matrix Online. So I'm definitely going to be lobbying for that if this deal actually goes through. But that was part of it that they mentioned in the article. Just that when it comes to the whole merger and everything that's going on, as far as the Warner Discovery thing, they briefly mentioned it before I heard about the Paramount merger with Skydance. I had heard that Warner Discovery had already planned to split in 2026. So that's why when I heard that there was an offer for Warner, I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Who would buy Warner Discovery together when they're getting ready to split it up? Wouldn't it make more sense to wait for them to split up? So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be like patient in terms of talking about it, because something just didn't seem to add up. But now that Warner is like publicly saying, okay, bring the highest bidder, it looks like it's really going to happen. Now, that said, everything I have seen kind of verifies what I was thinking, that it looks like if anybody is actually going to buy this, it's going to be after the split next year. So to the end of the article's point, if a merger with Warner and somebody else does happen, it's probably not going to be until 2026.
So I have a question. For this split, what IPs fall under the Discovery brand as opposed to the Warner Brothers brand?
All crap we don't care about. Let's
Fair
keep it at
enough.
1,000. Like, as far as I know, the Discovery stuff is like just TV and streaming stuff. You know what I'm saying? Documentaries and like History Channel stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Now, in fairness to that question, though, this is what I was saying about the Village Roadshow bankruptcy. I don't know all the ins and outs of how the rights work with a new purchaser. Like, I don't know if Warner Brothers has to clear it with them, or if they can just kind of do what they want and they just have to cut them in on the back end. You know what I mean? Like, none of that stuff was made public in terms of how the royalties or the rights or the ownership is divvied up on that end, on the production side, on like doing new stuff side, if that makes sense. So I'm not really sure. That's what I'm saying. There's so much uncertainty. It's like insane.
So I just did a quick search. Discovery owns a vast portfolio of IP, including Discovery Channel, HBO, DC Comics, Warner Brothers Film and Television Studios. So, as far as I can remember, DC Comics was under Warner Brothers. So I wonder if Warner Brothers split, where DC Comics would fall.
See, this is what I'm saying. When they're saying that, that's because like Discovery was like the bigger part of the merger, but you know what I mean? Like, basically just listing all the Warner's properties, right? So that's what I'm saying. When they split contractually, do they still keep a piece of the ownership? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's going to depend on the terms of the split, right? But it's messy. I mean, it's like the beginning of Dark Fate. Like, there's just all these different studios involved because of how many times it's been passed around. But this comment here, did y'all talk about Zach Penn's comments of the plot of this Matrix prequel? No. I think that's the thing. If you're on the Discord, the Matrix University Discord, anytime I come across stuff like that, I share the link, like I share with the community. But yeah, I didn't do like a video about it or anything. It was cool to hear what the plot was about. I believe he clarified that it was not a Young Morpheus script, but that it was in fact a script about the first version of the Matrix, so about the Paradise version of the Matrix, right?
Yeah, I've heard these. So, E-Night, I'm a little curious on when these comments came out because I haven't heard much from Zach Penn in a long while, and he does have that highly circulated comment about like, oh, it's not a prequel. 6 months ago.
Yeah, no, it was like a podcast interview that I saw. It was like a clip. Somebody asked him about that script. So that's what I'm saying. So I guess he's saying it's not a prequel in the sense that it's not a prequel to the first Matrix film in terms of like not taking place right in the beginning of that. But to your point, if it is about the first version of the Matrix, that would be a prequel to the whole series, right? But I do remember him saying it's not a prequel, right? But yeah, no, he did. I mean, it was him in the podcast in that video clip. You know, Zach Penn himself saying that it was about the first version of the Matrix. I believe he said it was the Paradise version. I don't think it was the Nightmare version. I'm pretty sure he said it was the Paradise version.
Yeah, Paradise was the first version. They went the other direction for the Nightmare version. Of course, neither was successful.
Yeah, and E-Night says I think he means it's not a prequel to those characters, but to that world. And also, I think he was very specifically trying to not reference the characters the Wachowskis created, if that makes sense.
Well, I would hope that if there's an earlier version of the Matrix, that there are some crossover characters. Of course, Merovingian, Seraph. I mean, those are really good characters, and they ought to be focused on in a prequel.
And to your point,
earlier.
yeah, no, Seraph and the Merovingian should be at least referenced if you're going there. Again, I haven't read the script. I don't know if he did it or didn't do it, but yeah, if you're doing that, you should definitely at least mention them. It will be odd and distasteful to not represent them in any kind of way, because that would link it to, you know, the existing material, the existing franchise. Randy said it's under contract. I would think since WB confirmed M5, it can't fall through, right? Unfortunately, I don't know if you remember the whole Batgirl debacle. Yeah, so they'll go as far as shooting the whole damn thing and not putting it out. So yeah, unfortunately, them announcing it officially is no guarantee, especially since it hasn't gone into production. You know, I would like to believe that it's still going to go through. But like I said, man, so you got the Village Roadshow situation and the rights there, and then now you have a potential new owner of everything. So to Randy's point, you know, it'd be cool if they just banged it out before any merger, just to, you know, get it done. Give us something, but I don't know. It's kind of ugly. Hard to tell. Like I said, the article worded it perfectly when it said that there's uncertainty and we're probably not getting any concrete answers anytime soon. But you know, that's why or one of the reasons why I wanted to do the Animatrix screening, just kind of my gift to the community, just because Big Brother's not really giving us anything concrete right now. Now, there was the Cosm 4D Matrix thing. You know, I made the little short, the little remix to help people find out about that and put that word out there. I mean, I would have loved to have gone myself. I mean, V, you were there on what was that, Instagram in the group chat. They were trying to peer pressure us into going.
Oh yes.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to go.
Yeah, that looks wild. That looks like, technology with where it is nowadays. I mean, it's like a dream come true. Like it's an immersive experience. And even the reels that I see, like reels don't exactly do justice, but it looks awesome. It looks so good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw Resurrections in IMAX, but obviously the whole 4D Matrix experience was something completely next level to that. And actually, the other week I went to see Tron and in 3D, and I actually saw, what was the one before that? I guess so. Was it Tron Legacy? That's the one with
Yeah, that's like the 2010.
yeah, Olivia Wilde, right? So I saw that in 3D, and I remember back then, like said 2010 or whenever it came out, like I felt like as far as 3D films go, that they like put a lot of effort to like have shots where items and stuff felt like it was jumping off the screen. Um, I didn't get that feeling at all with this most recent Tron, but it did make me think about like the whole Cosm Matrix experience and how much cooler that probably was to, when you compare it to a 3D cinematic feature. Because that 3D technology, that's from the 80s, bro. Like,
Jaws 3D.
yeah. uh, Yeah, Randy said the Wile E. Coyote movie got scrapped and it's going to come back now. We will make sure M5 happens. I will march to WV myself. Please let me know. I will drive. Cosm was cool, kind of silly but fun. It felt more like an event. People talking and ordering food. The screen was so large, it lit up the audience the entire time. Oddly more live event. Okay. Versus immersive, if that makes sense. Gotcha. So like it's more about like the energy and like being there and having a good time with other Matrix fans. Yeah, that makes sense. They had a full food menu. Yeah, I saw the menu that coincided with the film. Neo's favorite noodles, Cypher steak, and then the Oracle's cookie. Themed cocktails too. Yeah, they had the themed drinks, the red versus blue at the NFT party in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a vibe. Tron is Disney Matrix. Yeah, Tron. I've always called Tron the prequel to the Matrix. What else we got here? Right. So yeah. So and that was the thing. So I'm glad somebody was in the audience to kind of share that Cosm experience with us here now, because that's actually a big reason why I was inspired to sponsor the Animatrix screening. Because all right, so when I did the book, yeah, shout out to Michael Dennis. He had me on his channel to talk about the book, and he actually posted an ad for a trailer for the Eyes on the Afterlife, the Tupac Biggie video. And he had an event at this theater, and it was like a blaxploitation film double feature. I believe it was Cleopatra Jones and Black Belt Jones. So if you ever saw Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, Jim Kelly's in that. That's the only other thing I had seen him in. But if you've seen Enter the Dragon, the guy with the martial artist with the afro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that it's basically that character for an hour and a half. Like he's literally talking the same way, like he's playing it exactly the same. So that was fun to watch. But yeah, when I was in the theater, this little boutique theater, for that event, supporting his event, it was just cool. It was like being in a time machine. Like when the lights went out, like you could have told me I was in the 70s, I would have believed you. So that was kind of like the inspiration behind the whole Animatrix thing, because they were down for it. He said, he always gets the rights and the licensing to show it properly. So it was a surprise when he said it was a free event. I'm guessing that has to do with Warner being Warner. But I'm not gonna complain about it. That makes it free for everybody who wants to attend. Like it says on the flyer, even though it's free, you still have to have a ticket. you can go to the website to order a ticket. But yeah, like I said, I thought it would be something that would be cool to share with you guys. And also the Animatrix went straight to DVD, so I don't even know how many times this has been done. Like, I don't know how many times it's even been shown on a real movie screen. I imagine we're not the first, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was single digits. You know what I mean? As many people that haven't seen the Animatrix to this day. I just thought it was a cool opportunity. Like I said, a gift to the community, if you will. And also circling back to the Eyes on the Afterlife video that's here on this channel, that animation. If you are here, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go live tonight was, it's been a while since we've been live. It made sense to go live because that Animatrix screening is in 2 weeks. That's Veterans Day, November 11th, Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. But yeah, with the whole Eyes on the Afterlife video, like I said, Michael Dennis's Real Black channel put up the trailer, and since that video has gone live, like there's a whole wave of Tupac and Biggie AI videos now. So if you're a Biggie and Tupac fan and you're in here and you've seen any of those other Biggie Tupac AI videos, you're welcome. Because I started that wave. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I did not see not one, AI video that had both Biggie and Tupac in it prior to that. And now there's a whole gang of them. So yeah, that's like a whole vibe now. Science says, what a horrible thought, Disney buying WB Discovery. Right. And the article did mention that they're, even with the whole Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers Discovery merger, if Discovery is included in that merger, if Skydance, Paramount buys it, right, there's already pushback that's monopoly, that's going to kill Hollywood, blah blah blah. So people are already wanting to fight it without it being as big as merging with Disney. So he said, Randy says, if we fight for it, M5, it will happen. M4 happened when many thought it wouldn't. He's beginning to believe. Hey, I've been saying the whole time that, what was that show? Sense8, right? That the Sense8 series finale, which was like a movie, right? It was like 2 hours. The only reason why that existed was because the fans like bombarded Netflix with comments and mail and like, yo, what's up? We need an ending. You guys just cut it without an ending. Give us an ending. And guess what? They gave the audience an ending. So, if enough people scream for it, they'll do it. Were you going to say something, V? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm listening. Sense8.
Yeah, I know Randy's got that revolutionary spirit, but yeah, I mean, you gotta, or rather, we've got to rally the troops for something like that. I mean, it's got to be a pretty big crowd. It's the angry mob that they fear. He said when Endgame was out, I was hoping Disney rebooted The Matrix.
Yeah, when Endgame was, when it really hit and it was satisfying, I was like, man, Disney should just take over the Matrix. And, I felt that at the time. Not so much now.
Yeah, Randy says, okay, if Disney owns Marvel, DC, Matrix, and Star Wars, they are a complete monopoly. Yeah, and in fairness, when the Matrix Online got forced over to the Sony Station Pass or whatever it was called. So right back then, Disney didn't own Star Wars yet. But because of that experience, I would never trust Disney with Matrix anything. Yeah, there it is. Randy agrees. He says, I wouldn't want Disney to buy. They would massively water down the Matrix. They wouldn't be able to handle it. Oh my God. They would totally, what's the word I'm looking for? PG-13 it so they could sell merch.
Yeah, the trade off is that we would get probably a bunch of cool merch, um, but if it's Star Wars, you know, if it's a Wars sequels, it's not worth it.
Now,
Somehow
that was
Smith has returned.
but he said thank you for playing Star Wars Galaxies. It was so bad. Right, speaking of the MXO era, right? MXO days. I believe there's a Halloween party Friday. Yeah, MXO party Friday, October 31st, 7:30 to 9:30, excuse me. I believe that's happening this Friday.
It is.
In the emulator, I work weekends, so I will not be able to attend that, but I was able to participate in the trivia earlier this month and last month, and I saw you were able to join us in that last one, in the October one. So what you think of the trivia event?
It was good. The questions were actually challenging. I teamed up with somebody on the spot, and I think we got 9 out of 10.
Yeah, you guys did well. And honestly, because that was the second 10 questions that I made. The first 10 questions most of them were like way harder. So I think I'm gonna like give up being the question person, because people are like, dude, you're the only one who knows it. Like, I'm like, sorry. So because when I was approached about it, he said he was concerned that people were just going to Google the answers. So I was like, oh, I got an answer for that. So I came up with these questions designed to not be answered by AI or Google's AI or whatever. And I did pretty good at that part. But yeah, there were some tough questions in there. But like I said, you guys did pretty good. Your team won that round, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, 9 out of 10. I mean, who's
we
beating
ran
that?
away.
But yeah, it was a good time. It was good to have an excuse to be in the emulator. Shout out to Kavion. Appreciate you, dog. The odd one says Paramount merge with WB would be a catastrophe. Paramount is run by a Trump freak. Did you see my Sora video, Matrix theme park? AI agrees. I did not. Shoot me that in the Instagram link, please. I would like to see that. I'm always interested in seeing where AI art is going and what people are making with that. Kavion. Speaking of, yeah, so like I said, when I had originally posted that poll asking people in the YouTube community on the post tab what would they like to see next, I think the choices were Agent Syndicate Volume 2 or the next installment of Simulation Theory or the Animatrix screening. Had people voted for another Simulation Theory, I probably would have had to done that next installment completely with AI animation. Everybody voted for the Animatrix screening, which by the time I put the poll up, I had already, been at the theater and kind of knew that was going to be a thing, but I just wanted to bounce it off you guys, and everybody agreed that was kind of what everybody wanted to see next. So like I said, that's going to be in less than 2 weeks. That's not this upcoming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. So yeah, and that's the other part of it that's going to be exciting for me, because you were there for Project Matriculated V, and that was definitely cool to see the short on the video wall there at Vibe, because the place is a vibe. I mean, it's definitely a good look. But this is a little different, like as a creator, to have my shorts on an actual movie screen. So I'm actually looking forward to sharing that with you guys or whoever's going to be there. Just one of those personal goals, you know?
Yeah, it's an accomplishment.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I think I covered all the major talking points that I wanted to hit tonight. You know, we'll keep it going for another few minutes here, just because it's been so long. But like I said, you know, hopefully I'll see some of you guys in a couple weeks at the Wind Gap Theater. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask in the chat or, you know, in DM or on the Matrix University Discord. Like I said, whenever I get stuff sent to me, I share it there. In fact, I think the last thing I posted was the full Comic-Con interview with Lawrence Fishburne and Joey Pants. Like I said, Randy was there for real in person, but the interviewer did post that whole interview on YouTube, so that does exist. You know, back in the day, I would like, you know, put the audio behind some falling code, but man, YouTube just keeps moving the goalposts on what's a copyright strike these days. Like dude, I got a copyright strike for the Train Man video like a week ago. It's like it's like a 4-year-old video, bro. Maybe 5. Like it's like, really? I mean, I get it. If they're selling, you know, Warner Brothers might be hard up for that $2 or however many $3 or $4 in AdSense that it made, but yeah, it's just it's crazy out here, man.
Well, let's talk a little Animatrix.
Oh, fair. You know, my favorite episode is Matriculated.
Yeah. Matriculated was where they reprogrammed the machine.
Yeah, that's the last one. The guy who made Eon Flux. Why am I not remember? Tommy Chung? Peter Chung, excuse me. Peter Chung. That's the Peter Chung one.
Yeah, that had a very solid ending where the machine trapped her in the Matrix with him.
Right, but then she like crashed out and just kind of like quit on life. But I thought it was a good ending to the series, not just because I was a Peter Chung fan through Eon, even though when I did the video for that episode on this channel, I found out that he was like part of a lot of animation teams that I was a fan of, like Transformers, Rugrats. Like he had a pretty long resume before Eon. But yeah, no, I just felt like after all of the episodes before that, that one just it kind of left you with that question of you know, are the machines really bad, or you know what I mean, like, you know. And I guess what it showed us, because like you had the green-eyed machines and the red machines, and they played on that later in the series, just that this idea that no, not all machines are bad. You can have good machines and you can have bad machines, you know, like that it's not just black and white. Now, and then I guess on a deeper level in that episode, spoiler alert, you know, the one scientist asked that kind of question, or rather he says, and he admits that they are tricking the machine. So, you know, I think, you know, when you're talking about the subtext and like, I guess the hidden messages that you find in the Matrix series, like, you know, it's, so you're given this choice, but if the information you're given is a virtual reality or not the real reality, like, is that the right choice, or is it just the choice you're making because of what you're presented, even though it's not real? So yeah, there was just a lot. There was a lot of layers to it. But yeah, that was my favorite episode. What's your favorite episode?
Well, yeah, I like that the green-eyed machine and the red-eyed machine, and who was it that pointed that out when we did that podcast?
That was the original Matrix 4 podcast on your channel.
And then he pointed out that it was the in Revolutions at the very end when Neo sacrificed himself, that machine had green eyes and not red eyes, and they later changed it
Right,
for
they
the
changed it in
DVD
post.
release. And then of course we have the in part 4 we have the machine Civil War. So it's an interesting tidbit from the Animatrix, and now that's one of the things that the fandom really wants. Like, oh, I want to see the machine Civil War. Like that's got a big following. Like you go on Reddit, and what people want to see is they want to see the machine Civil War. They want to see, the young Merovingian. There's a couple of storylines that people want to see, and that's one of them.
Yeah, that's credit to Starshore for bringing up that green-eyed
Yes.
change. Yeah, shout out to him. He definitely came through with a lot of intel when we were doing that broadcast. I hope he's doing well. All right, Scion says, well, I know I'm not dreaming now because I know what it's like being in a dream, which is what the main character in Matriculated said. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that, good versus bad machine definitely got fleshed out a little bit in Matrix 4 and a little bit in the Matrix Online. But the point that I wanted to highlight that you just mentioned is that whole wanting to see the machine Civil War. Doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't there like a Terminator franchise that has a fan base that wants to see a future war that they only give us snippets of, but never like a full on, robot version of Braveheart? Like, we want Game of Thrones in T800 form.
Yeah,
right.
if we're gonna go like human machine war or machine Civil War with like a human component to it, like I want to see like a Full Metal Jacket version of the Matrix in the real.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Look, so spoiler alert. I don't want to go too deep in it because I haven't fleshed all of it out yet. But like I said, I've been living in that space. I've been in that space for a long time. The potentials laid some of the groundwork. Simulation theory. There were things building up to what you're talking about. I'll just put it like that. And the way I was gonna do it was serious. So Warner, Big Brother, Skydance, Ellison, if you guys put this thing together, I know somebody out there is listening. There's always somebody listening, right? You guys put this thing together, holla at me. I'll make it right. I'll make money. I'll put it that way. You will make money if you do it this way, because this is the way the fans want to see. But I know you guys got a lot of working out and negotiating to do to get to that point. Like I said, if it's gonna happen, it's probably not gonna happen until 2026. And even that is maybe not, might be a higher bidder that steps in. So who knows? But like I said, if you guys are serious about wanting to make that crossover work, I got you covered. Randy says, one thing I definitely want with the Matrix universe is for them to expand Star Wars was the blueprint they have to launch from there to see what worked and what didn't. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you. With everything that has happened since Resurrections, I can't help but keep hearing that Shepard line in my head when he says, sometimes it feels like the Matrix won. And by that, I mean, when I started this channel, one of the big inspirations for that was just, at the time, I felt there was a lot of things online referencing the Matrix that had nothing to do with the Matrix, like this whole QAnon thing. And there's a bunch of stuff. I was like, that's not what the Matrix was really about. So let me put together an outlet where people who want to know what the Matrix is about, who didn't get to experience in real time, can go and like check that or see that, right? So sometimes I wonder, I mean, I get it. There's always, I mean, V and I were kind of talking about this thing that we are both aware of in, the pre-studio before the show. Like, the Matrix franchise is always caught up in litigation. That's one of the reasons why we've had to wait so long just to get the resurrections, and why everything is kind of in limbo now, right? There's always this legal battle or somebody suing, or right, there's always something. But the other side to this, I think maybe, or I wonder about sometimes, like I said, when I hear that Shepherd line playing, that the Matrix 1 is that, like, one of the reasons why I was also motivated to make this channel, just because the Matrix as a franchise, I felt like it's an exercise for the mind, if you will. Like, it helps wake people up. It helps people kind of step out of the mainstream propaganda when their mind is opened up to these ideas. And there's a lot of different reasons for why it affects people that way. But to Randy's point about Disney ownership watering it down, if that was to happen, that's what I mean. I feel like the Matrix as a franchise in its purest form is actually something that the legacy media doesn't want. Like, we want it because we think it's great. But some of the folks who actually pay for it don't. They don't think it's doing good things. And this is just a thought that I had, like I said, wondering why I kept hearing that line play out. And then, another part of it is just this whole right now I feel like we're in a time where there are people with a lot of money who are really cool with lying about history and like rewriting history, and that's like, I feel like it's being normalized. So I'm one of those people who feels obligated to push back on that. And I feel like the Matrix franchise inspires people like me to push back on that. So, that might be one of the reasons why it doesn't get the love on the production side or the green light side that we want it to. Like I said, just a theory, but it's been something I've been wrestling with. He says we need more things like Animatrix and MXO to expand the universe. Absolutely. I definitely have been on team, do little things before jumping into another feature film. I think that would definitely be the way to go. Pick one. Video game, Animatrix, episodes, anything. What were you going to say, V?
And there's a precedence for it. They're really fleshing out these cinematic universes with series. Comics is another one. I know Marvel and Dark Horse are looking to pick up these IPs, and I think one of them got Transformers. So Transformers and I think G.I. Joe are going to get rebooted in the comics. I mean, when you're talking about an IP that is very flexible, you have the Matrix. There's so many possibilities with the versions and instances. It's I'm really shocked that it hasn't been tapped more.
Well, and that's the part that has always been frustrating to me. Like I said, or like we said, there's usually some litigation, and the Warner policy is if there's any type of litigation, they're not going to do anything. So maybe that changes with the merger, right? Because now it's a new big dog calling the shots. Maybe they don't have that same policy. But yeah, it's just frustrating because ever since the MXO days, I'm like, yo, how do you mess this up? Like, how do you fumble this bag? How like, I know you guys can make a gang of money doing this if you like actually commit to doing it. And that's the thing. It seems like like MXO, they pulled the plug so fast. Like, The NFTs, they pulled the plug so fast. Like if it doesn't work immediately out of the gate and make $1 billion on day 2, then all right, we quit. Like that's not how this works. You have to like cultivate the audience and not abandon, your core diehard fan base. I mean, there are some loyal Matrix fans. There's definitely a market that can be tapped, but they keep not wanting to do it the right way. So here we are waiting in the Matrix. He said Lawrence himself said almost everything that came after the Matrix has been trying to copy it. The Matrix is the blueprint for everything sci-fi based. No, it has inspired a lot. Like there's a whole generation of science fiction and video games and comics that make Matrix references and that are inspired by bullet time and so on. I mean, he was dead on with that, and that's kind of the point that V's making. Like, how with something that influential, how do you not keep making money? I thought the whole point of you guys doing this was to make money. But that's what I'm saying. There's more to it than just that. Unfortunately, there's politics and like propaganda and all these things that the Matrix actually fights against, or at least in my mind, helps you exercise your mind to fight against. And that's the part I think that kind of goes under the radar in terms of one of the reasons why, as Shepard put it, the Matrix won, or we're not getting the Matrix doses that we would like. All right, Lawrence said no Matrix, there is no MCU. Yeah, again, that was a really good interview. I enjoyed it. Now, I felt like Lawrence was having more fun in his Star Talk interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was a fun one too. But yeah, you can search either one of them. It'll come up on YouTube. Like, yeah, Science says these channels don't want it because it's anti-media. I think he means like anti-legacy media. The Matrix won in Resurrections because everyone inside it is addicted to their mobile screens and all the hardlines and phone booths are gone. Yeah, whenever I see a real phone booth, I try to take a picture of it and share it on social media. I could picture the Wachowskis thinking the big evil corporation wants another movie about how the big evil corporation is bad. So I'm trying to remember where I put this comment recently, but it might have just been a comment on my channel. Like I try to respond to everybody I see. If I don't respond to you, it's probably because YouTube did not give me a notification that you commented. It does it all the time. So apologies to anybody's comment who was missed. But yeah, I was saying something. I think somebody commented in one of that Wachowski interview compilation, really old video, but it's like the best of the Wachowski interviews at that time. And I think they said something to the effect of like, oh, I don't think they know what they created or something like that. And I was like, sometimes I wonder if they know exactly what they created, and that's why, or I wonder why, or I wonder if rather the Wachowskis have been fighting hard to make sure that somebody doesn't come in and bastardize that energy, that they want to kind of keep that part of it pure. And if, let's say, for example, they felt like the studio would have taken control over the Zach Penn script narrative, for an example. I'm not saying that they actually thought this. I'm saying that, this is an example to show you what I'm trying to articulate. That, well, what if Lana Wachowski said, no, don't do that because I don't trust what you guys are going to do with it, So if that's the case, I get it. It just sucks for us. Yeah, it says the Matrix franchise has been quiet after the release of the Matrix Resurrections. Yeah, Kevin, like, I'm not going to lie to you, like, just from an energy or the temperature or, a lot of people were upset. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. But at the same time, a lot of people did not. And I also feel like sometimes I feel like Twitter, social media, like the internet is not a real space. So, because I remember like it felt like that first day, all the reviews, or at least all the stuff I saw online, was like good. And then the next day, everything was bad. And it's just like once the bad energy came out, everybody was like, all right, well, everybody thinks it's bad, so I gotta hate it too. And I feel like the, you know, what they call it, not Project Popcorn. No, Project Popcorn, because Project Ice Cream was the production, right? So Project Popcorn was like the secret clandestine plan to screw Village Roadshow, right, with the streaming release. So yeah, I felt like the streaming release didn't help, like, to that point. Like I felt like a lot of people that hated it or claimed they hated it saw it in streaming and not in the theaters. And that's another reason why I want, or why we're going to screen the Animatrix in a couple weeks. Because like I said, I know a lot of people haven't seen it. I know a lot of people haven't seen it in a movie theater at all because it didn't go to the big screen and went straight to DVD. So, you know, this is an attempt to give people an opportunity to have that experience, to experience the Animatrix in a theater setting. And I feel like Resurrections was designed for that experience, that theater setting experience. That's why I wanted to see the Tron films on the big screen, because I feel like those kind of special effects films, you know, are designed for that in a dark theater experience. It's just different. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still enjoy it at home. I'm not saying that people don't have cool home theaters and all that fun stuff, but again, when I saw the 70s movies on the big screen in a small boutique theater, and like I said, I felt like I just stepped in a DeLorean, and like I just felt like I was watching a movie in the 70s. It's very hard to explain. I hope you guys feel that, who do attend this Animatrix screening. I hope you feel like you're in 2003 and it just came out and it's fresh. But yeah, man, it's been hard out here since Resurrections, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, the traffic and the love just ain't been the same. But at the same time too, I feel like these are the times where you see like who's really about that Matrix life, like who's really a diehard fan, like who's hardcore, whose passion is like for real, and like, you know, like it's like in real life, like when you're down and there's friends around, you know, those are your real friends, because like the bandwagoners, you know, as soon as there's trouble, as soon as you lose a game, they out. You know, so yeah, shout out to all you guys who are here. You know, like Science said when we first started, we are still here. Like, shout out to you guys. Like, I appreciate you guys. You know, one of the reasons that I created this space was so that the hardcore fans would not be abandoned the way we were abandoned when they killed the Matrix Online forums. Yeah, I was so pissed when they did that. I was like, you can't tell me that Warner Brothers can't afford this website. Oh man,
We tried to save it.
yeah, no, I know, and shout out to everybody who is over there supporting the emulator, because that's like a nice place to go whenever I miss the MXO days. I can just go back to that world. It was, yeah, and what you call it, the trivia was a nice little excuse to be in there for me. But like I said, they are having an MXO party on Friday, Halloween party this Friday. So if you have the emulator installed, make sure you jump on and do a dance for me. Randy says, I think the Matrix follows is the same formula as Star Wars. You can take down the Emperor or Darth Vader or Smith or the Analyst, but something always takes his place. It's like a Hydra. Yeah, and you know, I was gonna say, like, you know, with Star Wars, the Matrix, even Terminator, you know, you've got that that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That chosen one, or that immaculate conception thing going on there too.
Yeah. The hero's journey.
Yeah. Andor and Mandalorian were the best stuff from Star Wars in recent years, in my opinion, because they took it seriously. Jon Favreau is a nerd, so we need a big nerd like Drew Goddard. Yeah, Favreau did his thing with Mandalorian. Andor, I had mixed feelings about. So and I don't want to turn this into a Star Wars thing, but Rogue One is the film that Andor splits off from. And I thought Rogue One was the best of the, post Lucas, the newer ones. I thought Rogue One was like really good. Knuckle up, make for exit, and I'll see you back on deck. Yeah, we're getting to that hour mark. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to touch on, V, before we wrap things up here? I'm just checking over my notes. Like I said, yeah, I hit all the target points that I wanted to mention. Oh, right, you said let's talk some Animatrix, and we only really got into Matriculate. So what did you say your favorite episode was?
Oh boy, it changes.
Which is
I guess-
fair. There's 9.
Yeah, I mean, there's technically 9 of them. 3 of them are right out of the Matrix cinematic universe. Well, 4 of them if you count Second Renaissance 1 and 2.
Right, if you count those as 2, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, Detective Story has Carrie Ann Moss as Trinity,
right,
and Kid Story, and I think Kid Story has been my favorite. It's just the way it speeds up and the animation like almost blurs and becomes messier. Like you can feel what he's feeling because of how it's drawn.
Yeah, no, it definitely has a unique animation style, the Kid Story.
And it's got the best song on the Animatrix, which is the Who Am I song. It's awesome. It's really, really, it really hits the Matrix.
Yeah, now, and that is a good episode. And you also mentioned the Second Renaissance. Now, what I tell people is, because like you said, it's 1 and 2. But what I tell people is I feel like the Second Renaissance is the part of the Animatrix that prepares you for Reloaded and Resurrections. Like, I feel like that is like the most important one to see. Just because it gives you like it fills in the gaps, like when Morpheus is like, oh, we don't know who struck first, we don't really know what happened there. Yeah, the Second Renaissance kind of answers that question.
Yeah, and it doesn't go into too specific details, but it also it introduces the missteps of humanity, and kind of supports the machine. So that story ends, and you're kind of like, yeah, I kind of see the machine's point of view there.
I'm glad you brought that up because it reminds me of something. The whole machine propaganda talking point. I know we've discussed this before, but it's been a while, and there's some new subs here. So welcome to Matrix University if you're new here. But like, I still get this comment to this day on the Second Renaissance video that's machine propaganda. And my thing about that is there is nothing that says that the humans have access to these files. Because if they did, then Morpheus wouldn't say, we don't know who struck first. So it is my belief that the reason why it's a Zion archive is because when the machines were seeking, or rather, I believe that Zion was the machines bunker when they were being bombarded with nukes during the Second Renaissance. So that's why it's a Zion archive, because their history was there until they gave Zion to the humans for the Oracle's plan. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
When they gave Zion to the humans for what?
for the Oracle's plan.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
You know,
that tracks.
now, and I admit that I have to jump to a conclusion in terms of there's no line that says, okay, we were here and then we gave it to the humans. But we do have lines that say they gave Zion to the humans. So I'm not just making all of it up. You know, like I said, to me, it's just a logical conclusion. And again, because I've seen comments of, you know, people saying like, oh, the machines couldn't just be standing out there getting nukes dropped on them. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that when the nukes were dropping on 01, there was a whole gang of machines down in Zion, and that's why they didn't burn or melt or whatever.
So isn't there a line that says that they hid underground?
That part I do believe exists. They just did not use the specific word Zion. But like I said, there's crumbs. There's pieces to that part of the puzzle left out there.
Yeah, because the narrator says that they engulfed 01 in the storm of 1,000 suns.
Yeah.
The heat of 1,000 suns or something like that. And I think that there's something that leads you to believe that they hid underground.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull up the dialogue after this live. And shout out to Chaos Nova. I appreciate you. See, and this is what I'm talking about, man. Just seeing the diehards in here right now is bringing back all kinds of fun memories of this Matrix University journey. I appreciate you guys. It's fun to share such a hardcore passion for the Matrix with you guys because I know you guys really mean it. It's not just a fad, it's a lifestyle over here. Yeah, I believe the machines were bunkered. That's what I'm talking about. Chaos knows his stuff when it comes to that Animatrix era. Oh yeah. And right, speaking of so another thing that kind of inspired this whole screening situation is when I was looking through, like I said, I'm like, okay, so what's next? Another installment of Simulation Theory, Agent Syndicate Part 2. And then I looked at all the shorts and all the existing animations. And even though they're not like all 10 minutes long, I'm like, yo, there's enough here for an Animatrix 2. Like, there's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've written like 9 episodes myself. So yeah, I'm hoping that's gonna be fun to, because you know some of them are like the B1 trial, for example, like that's directly inspired from the Animatrix and the Matrix comics. So I'm looking forward to watching the Animatrix and then seeing that right after, you know, just while it's all fresh. Yes, we are still here. I like this. Science says no matter who ends up owning the WB, the Wachowskis gave it to us on March 25th, 2005, and we never gave it back. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely think that, you know, players of the Matrix Online, we're a smaller sect of the fan base.
Yeah, no, we're carrying the torch. Like I said, there's a Matrix Online, an emulator event this Friday. I know there's still a couple folks still kicking around over on Radio Free Zion. And Randy says when we hopefully get a Matrix 5 trailer and rewatching it, he's rewatching it countless times. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, you know I'm hoping for the best. You know I want to see more. And in fairness to the point you guys made before, all of this merger stuff, that might open the door for not only a Matrix 5, but for, new management to come in and say, hey, man, we just bought all this stuff. Now somebody make it make money. So I'm hoping that's the case, because the Matrix is one of the franchises that can make money when handled properly, handled with care. Like I said, handled by nerds who understand it.
Yeah, I mean we're right in the middle of an AI, like it's about to explode.
Yeah.
Like we should be cranking out Matrix stories and movies right now.
So on that, the whole AI thing, and Chaos Nova says, I do have a change work situation, hence my absence for 2 years. And in the pre-production, V and I were talking about that too. Like, it's been a few years now, so people's schedules changes and the world changes. Like, honestly, it's expensive to be outside right now. Like, everything is expensive. Everything is more expensive than it was in 2020, at least from my perspective. So, that means working more and, less time for hobbies and less free time. But you mentioned the AI thing, V, and that's another thing. It goes to this point. Like, when I first started tinkering around with the AI stuff, I feel like, it was like new, right? So I didn't know what to expect. But like after a while, I'm noticing like how predatory some of the subscriptions are, and like you hit cancel and then it still charges you. And like, so I just like stop everything. I'm like, turn everything off. So that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I know, right. So, right. Cause you mentioned like making Matrix stuff. So, right. So that's part of my frustration. Is like, I know the parent company, y'all got money. So, if there's no legal policy or whatever, they could make stuff. Like, that's not the issue. Like, if they wanted to, they'd make it. Right. So then I was making stuff, but then like for me personally, like I said, the AI subscriptions add up. Like, it started to get expensive. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, if Big Brother isn't going to give us more Matrix, and people want to see more Matrix, and the numbers reflect that on my channel, then I will make more original Matrix. Like, I welcome that. I'd love to have the excuse or support, or however you want to word that, to go ahead and turn all those AI subscriptions on and keep generating stuff. Because that was the other thing too. I felt like when I first started doing the AI production thing, like there was just a lot of negative pushback. I feel like it's still not widely accepted, but it's getting more and more accepted as more people use it. Like I said, you got the whole Tupac Biggie AI wave. Like, it's getting out there. And shout out to all the new subs who subbed off of the Eyes of the Afterlife. We see you. Long live Tupac, and justice for Tupac and Biggie. But yeah, like I said, there's so much that can be done in terms of storytelling in this universe. And it doesn't have to all be Wachowski characters. I mean, I play off that because that's what I know and that's what you guys like. But it doesn't have to be just that. It can go outside of that, and new characters can be created, and there's just so much potential. Like, there's just so many different things you can do in this space.
Yeah, it was just about 20 years ago. We all made our own characters, and we made it work inside the game. So there's there's plenty of room for different stories and different interpretations of it.
Yeah, Randy said, Drew Goddard, if you see this, you better bring the Ring of Fire. I am curious to see what his script was about. I mean, I do like that Zach Penn told us, what his plot was, but I'm very curious to see where Drew Goddard was going to take things, because I got the feeling that he wasn't planning on picking up where Resurrections left off. But And we marveled at our own magnificence as we give birth to AI. Science crazy. What were you gonna say? V?
I just think it's really interesting that Joe Pantoliano is still interested in reprising the Cypher character.
I think he had a lot of fun with it. I think he really enjoyed that role. And you also have to remember too, in order for the Matrix to be made, the Wachowskis had to have success with Bound first, and Joey Pants is the lead or the villain in Bound. So I think, and this is just my own theory, my own conjecture, my own speculation, I think that he was treated very well by the Wachowskis because he was somebody they trusted and he was part of how they were even in that position. So much to the point that I think that's something that Tank didn't understand, because I know part of his beef was like, oh, Cypher made 2 million or whatever, and he didn't have as many lines as me or whatever his beef was. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, right, but you have to understand Cypher already had a relationship with the directors, and in fact his previous performance is the whole reason why you have a job in this one. So yeah, I think Joey Pants and the Wachowskis had a good relationship on that first set. Like I said, that's just my own speculation. He didn't tell me that himself or anything, but from the outside looking in.
I'm just curious as to see what his opinion is on where he can take Cypher and Cypher's relevance moving forward. And of course, I got to bring it back to the Matrix Online. Is he aware about the Cypherite sub-faction and, what they were doing and how that all played into what the machines were doing?
Now you got me. Now I'm like, man, I wish I would have asked him that question when I interviewed him. That's a good question. But yeah, maybe he saw my AI Cypher video and now he figures he's got a lane back into the franchise.
Well, with the possibilities, you could bring him back. It's, they're doing time travel in Marvel, so you can bring anybody back. It's fine.
Yeah, I didn't go into the details of the science or anything, but yeah, there are options. He could be a hybrid of sorts, recycled by the assassin himself. There are options.
Yeah. Cypher was the assassin, maybe.
Right? Because the assassin wanted revenge, right?
Yeah, every time I talk to someone who was a Cypherite in the game, I always ask them, what do you think they did with Cypher's body after he got killed? So maybe they dumped him and the flies came.
Flies. Real quick here. Randy said, Chaos, we need remasters or new games, especially for Path of Neo. And Chaos says, I still have Path of Neo and Enter the Matrix as playable games. I've been saying this for a while now, because I couldn't, at some point I was like, oh, I should post a playthrough, but then I couldn't really figure out what would be the best way to record that. So if you send me the file, I'll definitely post it. Playthroughs of Path of Neo and or Enter the Matrix. With Enter the Matrix, I have the the cinematics are up on this channel, but there are no playthroughs of those games on my channel.
I like
He said,
idea.
What were you gonna say, V?
I like Havion's idea in the comments.
This is the reason. I think I need to get caught up. Is this the last one? What if the Matrix has a special Christmas movie? How's that sound?
Simpsons predicted
Yep.
it.
I was about to say, you have that. Did you put it on a coffee mug?
Yeah. Yeah, and I did like a Christmas themed code rain where it starts out with green code and then it turns white like snowfall, and then it says The Matrix Christmas.
Yeah, that's cool. That is funny. Yeah, I love when the snow kicks up in the emulator. Always makes it feel like Christmas time. So yeah, so we definitely cleared the hour mark, which was a surprise. I wasn't sure if we were gonna, get that far just because, we're in the Watrix time. But just to recap, we got the Animatrix screening Tuesday, Veterans Day, November 11th, the Wingate Theater. There's a MXO party in the emulator this Friday, October 31st. So just to be clear, the Animatrix screening is a real world event. The MXO party is an Matrix Online emulator event, a digital event. So they are different, but both for the Matrix community. And yeah, just good vibes, man. Good time, good fans. Yeah, Science has come to the party Friday. He'll be there, or he's already dead. Randy says Joey Pants said they bought Hugo and Keanu back multiple times. They can bring me or us back. Yeah, like I said, I gave them the lane for Cypher already. I gave them an option if they wanted to pursue it that way. Like V said, there's always the DeLorean time travel route, and especially if you cross over the Matrix with the Terminator. So with that said, Ellison family or WB or whoever, holler at me, make the deal, get it done, and then we will make the Terminatrix. On that note, class is dismissed.